Bend the knee!
Valor Mogolis, everybody. This is Don Willie back again with part one of my two-part series asking the question of whether or not Bran Stark will become a villain. So, in order to find out where Bran is going, we first must analyze where he's already been, and we're going to do that in part one. Now, in order to gain a greater context of the things that Bran Stark has already done, we have to take a look at another character who also happens to be a warg, and that is the wildly known as Varamir Sixskins. Now, to date, Varamir is probably the most powerful warg we've actually seen in action other than Bran. He actually was able to hold on to 6 different animals at one time and have all of them under his control. On the other hand, we've only seen Bran use Summer, and every now and then he also uses Hodor, but we'll get to that in just a moment. In A Dance of Dragons, we get the perspective of Varamir Sixskins as he lays dying and is trying to figure out how he could possibly take over someone else in order to live a second life. It's either take over the woman who had been watching him named Thistle, or possibly one of the wolves that was still kind of around but not currently under his control. And it is in this chapter that we get kind of the unwritten rules of warging. Varamir recounts on how he was taught by a man named Hagen, and pretty much there seem to be 3 major rules when it comes to warging that are considered to be abominations. Rule 1, you don't eat the flesh of men. That is an abomination. Rule number 2, when you go into your animal, you can't mate with another animal. That's an abomination. And rule number 3, and the biggest one of all, you do not take over the body of another human being. That is an abomination. Now, so far, Bran has only broken one of these rules, but it is the biggest rule, and that is taking over another human being. So we see in A Dance with Dragons and Bran's chapters that he periodically takes over Hodor, and in his mind, he comments on how Hodor seems to go into a corner and kind of cower inside of his own mind whenever Bran comes to take over. And Bran knows that Hodor doesn't like this, but Bran is so anxious to go out into the world and to be able to walk around and do things for himself without having to be carried by Hodor that he's just like, look, Hodor's a big idiot. What is he gonna mind if I use his body? You know, I'm gonna be getting more use out of it than he would right now anyway. Now, no one is 100% sure, but many people have speculated over the years, ever since reading Bran's chapters in A Dance with Dragons, that he may have actually broken the first rule of being a warg, and that is not eating the flesh of a human. And here is the thing. So, in A Dance with Dragons, there is this paste supposedly made from the sap of a weirwood tree. It's red, like blood, and you know, come on, we've all heard the things about the possibility of the trees being alive and actually eating people, and so many people have speculated that that paste is actually made out of Jojen Reed, because Jojen happens to get sick, and there's a long stretch where we don't see Jojen. It seems like no one knows where he is, and so the mystery remains. Has Bran broken another warging rule by possibly eating his friend? Now, if that is true, then there still leaves the third rule, and that is warging into an animal and mating with another animal. Now, many people have speculated for years that Bran will take over one of Daenerys' dragons. And if that happens, could it actually be possible that while he takes over one dragon, he decides to try to mate with one of the other dragons possibly so they can lay some more eggs. Because, come on, everyone in the Seven Kingdoms, since they were kids, has been hearing about the Targaryen dragons, and Bran, I could see him being the one that's like, hey, you know what? I can help to bring back the dragons if I just, warg into one of Daenerys' dragons and mate with one of the other ones. What would be the harm in that? Well, young Bran, that, according to Hagen, would be an abomination. So, man oh man, I know you guys are probably wondering, well, where is this all leading? How in the world could this possibly make Bran a villain? Yes, he has broken some unwritten rules. Yeah, he's been kind of a jerk to Hodor. Yes, he might have eaten Jojen, but it wasn't knowingly, even if he did. And yes, it is very possible that Bran will warg into one of Daenerys' dragons and decide to try to mate with one of the other dragons in order to have more dragons spawned in the world. But I don't see how that could possibly make him into a villain. Well, we are going to talk about that in part 2. So, you guys come back for that one. Rate, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends come back for more. Don't forget to hit the notification button so this way you will be informed when I upload my next video. That has been my time. This is Don Raven saying Valadohiris.